Welcome back to the Bottom Line Podcast. Today we'll be talking about Trump's tariff plan and how it has affected the U.S. economy, as well as talking about Gen Z and how it actually is the least generation to consume alcohol, while Bible sales are skyrocketing. And we'll be talking about honor and a lot more in today's episode.
Well, guys, welcome back to another podcast episode. We want to introduce you to the other brother.
Brother Gabriel.
Brother Gabriel.
I'm here.
The priest.
He has been on the missions
Brother
field, preaching the gospel in Papua New Guinea in the jungles, eating sweet potatoes and rice. As you can see, he actually put on 80 pounds being in the jungle.
Fun fact, got a parasite, hemorrhoids,
Oh, dang.
the whole deal. Lost many pounds.
But
Yeah, how much did you lose? 30 pounds.
30 pounds.
For the gospel.
but for the gospel,
For
he
the
saved a lot of people from
It's
hell.
worth 30 pounds to 30
Save
lot
30
of people.
No, but actually,
That's
tell
what
us
I
about
always
Papua
said.
New Guinea.
Yeah.
How was it?
Papua New Guinea is, for those who don't know, because I didn't know, it's a nation that is in the Pacific Ocean, connected to Indonesia, right above Australia. It is a nation that used to be cannibalist.
Wow.
So they used to eat missionaries. And
Oh,
so
wow.
because of that, they actually
That's why
really...
you're so skinny.
They ate the 30 pounds. They actually...
What did they start with on
they
your
would-
or you lost the weight so that they wouldn't get hungry with you.
Yes, we had some others who were, let's just say, slower.
And they're not here with us anymore.
No, we had a bigger team at first. Okay, we actually started off with 9 and ended with 8, not cannibalist. But we had about 3 months in Papua New Guinea. Our first half we were in a higher area in the mountains, and then we moved to more of a coastal area, and we traveled pretty much every week to a new location in Papua New Guinea. The nation's a predominantly Christian nation, so they really respect missionaries, especially because of the previous cannibalistic people. They actually really respect missionaries, and so anytime you have to speak, they just gather and want to hear what you have to say. So it's actually really cool because when you start preaching or you just want to do an open air crusade, everyone just comes.
It's like they don't even want to eat me. It's awesome.
No, they barely want to eat me. They just want to. But fun
Sweet
fact,
potatoes.
my wife was preaching the gospel, and we actually saw basically someone get murdered. The dude.
We got Kennedy on the switcher.
Yeah, Kenny on the switcher. She can't switch to herself, or else you would show. But she basically was preaching the gospel, and this guy was being beaten really bad with a bunch of bamboo sticks. And we're like, what the heck? And the guy's getting punched in the face and on the floor. But
And how many people were there? Like approximate.
hearing the gospel, yeah, 500.
Wow.
Big crowd. We were in this lake called Lake Kutabu, and there was just blood everywhere,
And they were
gushing.
just like, yeah, get him.
Well, yeah, it's a super violent nation. It's actually extremely violent towards women, especially. Domestic abuse is super big deal. But anyways, we were like, oh, this guy's gonna die for sure. But he doesn't actually die. They I don't know. He kind of gets away, and they're basically saying, if anyone harbors this guy, we're going to kill him, because that's throw translation. And I guess he just murdered his wife.
Wow.
Not that long before. So basically, because he murdered his wife, they're we're going to murder him, and anyone who harbors him, we're going to kill him. This is also in front of a police station. So yeah.
So what was the ministry like there?
Yeah, maybe some bullet points. Tell what are the main things that you guys did?
Yeah.
Preaching the gospel in open air, crusade, prisons, jails. Preaching the gospel is the main thing. And then I would say
Well, you guys went to churches?
a couple times.
Okay.
Still preaching in churches, but open airs were the main form.
So what is an open air for people that don't know what that is?
You basically just start doing a skit or worship.
Some form of entertainment.
Yeah,
to
you
them
get a
there.
lot of people coming, or you actually highlight it beforehand for them to come. Then they come, and you just start preaching the gospel. Or,
just
you
at,
usually
a
do...
random park or something?
Yeah, somewhere that a lot of people are. You do a couple testimonies, and then you do the sharing of the gospel, usually to finish. And then you invite people to pray, and you pray for healing and gospel.
You told me about this one thing that you guys did that was kind of cool. You did the Jesus movie in their own language. They've never seen a movie before. Is that right?
Well, a lot of people didn't see a movie in their own language. So the language there is called Talk Pigeon. It's basically like English but weirder. It's like a weird variation of English. Like it just sounds like name below me, Gabriel, place below me, Kansas City, Missouri, Christmas below me, 23. I'm just said my name is Gabriel. Like it's a variation, but so this movie was in their language, and we just basically like set up this thing,
And how many people were there?
couple hundred in a church, and we slept in this church for like 11 days on like mats and hammocks, and then we set up the movie basically as bait to get the whole like village to come watch the movie. And then people were really touched by that, but then we basically shared like, hey, we're going to be here for the next 11 days. We're going to do morning session and night session to equip them into how to read the Bible, how to pray, how to actually have a relationship with God, how to heal people, how to receive the Holy Spirit, the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So we did that for 11 days. Not that one, living condition wise, the hardest, probably the greatest ministry we did the whole trip.
And it was in a mountain, you told me.
It was in actually the coastal side, but it was really high up. So it was pretty much in a mountain, but still really hot. When we first started, it was called the Highlands, and that was really cold. Then we went to
Okay, top 3 miracles that you saw, something that was like traumatic from like as far as like the team, what the team saw.
Okay, one time we were praying for this one dude. He could barely stand or walk, and all of a sudden we prayed for him, and he just like shot up standing, and he was like praising God, and he was like walking around and really testing it. And he seemed like he really was healed. That one was really cool to see. Kennedy, my wife, prayed for I think 3 people who couldn't hear. They all could hear.
That's
So
cool.
that was really cool because
Wow.
they literally couldn't hear and then they could. That happened actually many times. Actually, that was probably one of the main forms of healings we saw was
The
that.
deafness.
Yeah, one other miracle, which isn't necessarily like in the healing, but crazy miracle is there's this lady who like essentially it was in that same village where I just talked about in the church with the Jesus film. This lady like had no contact with her children for a long time. And so we're like, what the heck? You can't see your children. She doesn't talk to them. But then all of a sudden Kennedy prays and the kids talk to her. They call her and they're like, we miss you. We love you. And then by the end of the 11 days, her children came and were
Wow.
there with her. So like, I think it's 5 years of radio silence to actually texting and calling and then being there while we were there. So that was another pretty crazy miracle, like right after prayer. So prayer works.
It's cool. Well, I have one more question that I've actually thought about ever since you guys left, and that is this. So this is you got married in May, and
Which is how long ago?
so
11 months.
not even a year.
Okay.
So but I knew that from the time you got married, one of the things you wanted to do is take a school like this, separate 6 months, 7 months of your life, and go get training, Bible training, and then go and do an outreach like this that you just did with your wife. So what was your motivation of investing time, investing money into doing something like this that cost you a lot, financially and time-wise, that you saw, man, this is really what I want to do with my first year of marriage? Why was that decision?
Well, when I was doing my DTS, discipleship training school with YWAM, I really thought this would be so cool to do when I'm married. And so I kind of had that in my heart from when I got married to now I was able to actually be married. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. But it was like kind of hard because we wanted to build a home and a life, maybe have kids. But so then we have to separate all that and lose money. I think I just really wanted to travel with her. That was like just like one thing. I was like, I want to leave.
Yeah.
And Kennedy's never really left the country too much except for our honeymoon. So to be able to leave the country for a long time and do missions with her. Obviously, I've loved missions for a long time. So just to be able to do missions again, it's probably the most satisfying thing I think we can do on this earth, especially preaching the gospel. So those are kind of the main things. And then and leadership is a whole different vibe than when I was a student. So like actually leading a team, I grew more, I think, in leading than ever in like just a classroom because you have a lot more responsibility and
Dealing
growth.
with people,
A lot more pressure.
emotions.
A lot of pressure. You're a lot more hardship. People are really like, they're going to turn the arrows on you the most because you're the one that's easiest to look at. So
Yeah.
if anything happens that's wrong, it's on you. So yeah, there's good parts and bad parts to it, but I really want to do it. And I want to change it for sure.
Cool. Well, I thought it was cool that you guys did that on your first year of marriage. So, I commend you for that. So,
Okay, well, thanks for sharing, Gabriel. It was super exciting to hear about what you guys did with your Bible school and the missions trip. I always love hearing people's crazy outreach stories, even the poop stories. We might share some of those later.
yeah.
But I'm going to transition a little bit into our next topic. I actually want to show you guys a crazy stat. So since Trump has been in office, in just the past 2 months alone, over $2.9 trillion worth of investment from companies is coming back into the U.S. So companies like Apple putting $500 billion into the U.S., Johnson & Johnson $55 billion, and countries like UAE and Saudi Arabia putting almost $2 trillion into the U.S. economy. And just with these deals alone, this is already 4 times the announced investment than the Biden administration in his 4 years. And with this investment, this will also bring around 1 million new jobs to the Americans. And it seems like, from what I'm seeing, Trump's plan with tariff threats mixed with just a way better business environment and people aren't scared to spend money. It's just encouraging investment back in the U.S. It's bringing jobs. It's bringing the economy to flourish. And I feel like over the next 3 years, you're going to see a lot more jobs and the economy going a lot higher just because of what Trump is doing. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on what Trump's doing with the tariff threats. What do you think about it?
Well, I love what he's doing. A lot of people are mad. A lot of people
They're mad at the tariffs.
they're mad at the tariffs. Not just the Democrats, which is one, because I think they're just mad that whatever Donald Trump does, they're just going to be mad at.
Yeah.
But I'm not really concerned about what the Democrats think.
Yeah.
But other countries like Canada is really mad. Like the whole nation is mad.
The entire nation.
The entire nation, like at the hockey game that happened just a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
The national anthem, the American national anthem happened, and they were all booing the Americans. Okay, and so they're mad all across the board,
Kinda.
and other countries are mad as well. But the thing is, the reality is, it's not fair what they've been doing.
Canada has 250% tariffs on American goods.
Right. The European Union has it. Mexico has it. We're in deficit to all these countries over $1 trillion a year.
Yeah.
So this is insane that
But
they're.
I can't believe that other presidents hasn't used it as leverage, because we have the leverage because their whole entire economies are based on us consuming stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of them have been cheating. So this is how they do it. They enrich themselves. So I'll make a deal with you in this country, and then you just slide me some money over here as a commission.
Okay.
And so then they enrich themselves personally
confused.
because I made you a deal. So I'm going to give you, $300 billion. You just give me $1 million. That's nothing. In your mind, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it all day long. That's what happens. So Biden and family have been enriching themselves, so they'll make deals with Ukraine. They did with Ukraine and China and all these countries, and then just make a bunch of LLCs, and then aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters and nephews, they're all being paid through these LLCs from all these other countries because I just gave you a ton of money and you just gave me $1 million or $2 million. So that's what's been going on with all these deals. We're talking from the Paris deal to cars and vehicles. There's just been so many deals that have been done under the table, and Americans are completely ignorant. They have no idea what's going on, and I love what Donald Trump's doing because now it's going to be a fair playing field. April 2nd, actually, these reciprocal tariffs are coming into play. So if you're Canada and you're charging me 25% tariffs,
250.
I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
Okay. 25% tariffs on all my goods. So will I, because we're going to make it even. So no more are you going to take advantage of America.
So why is Canada pissed? Just because?
Well, because they don't know what has been happening for like 10 years.
They just see
that Trump's
trying to bully.
And now their dollar is going down, and so I would be upset too. But they should be upset at the deals that have been done, and
they
what
should be upset that their leader is
has
not
been-
fixing it in the first place.
right. They should have fixed it right away instead of prolonging this. They're just prolonging the pain instead of actually saying, "Okay, you're right. I have been taking advantage of you. I'm going to fix it." That's what's been going on.
And this is the crazy part with the Canada deal. Canada's GDP, which if you don't know what that means like your economy, your cash flow, 40% of it is based off American trade, which is crazy.
Is that a real statistic?
40%.
Holy crap.
So if US is like, hey, 300% tariffs or 200% tariffs.
Oh, their dollar's gonna be cooked.
Well, it already
Everything
has
else,
gone
too.
down, bro. Like,
Oh wow.
because it's like already way lower. Like when we used to live there, it was almost 1 for 1. Now it's like 36 cents less. Like it's really bad, or 44 cents less, which is almost half.
Is Canada responding with tariffs to America? Because
They have been already for 10 years.
I saw that Trudeau just released a post responding to Trump saying he'll
A while ago,
release
he did.
25%
Yeah.
tariffs
Yeah.
on America because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then he backed down, and
Then he stopped.
And
that.
Trump got what he wanted.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's great. I think it's fair. It's almost like two brothers. One the older brother, one the younger brother. The younger brother has been taking advantage of the older brother, and now the older brother's like, enough of that. Stop taking advantage of me. Yeah, I have a lot more money than you. I have a lot more power than you. But you've been giving all this money away to other countries, and now you just got to pay your fair share. So from tariffs, but also to military defense, they have not done any military defense spending, or very little, in comparison, because they just assume that the big brother America is going to take care of them even militarily. So I love I love it,
I even saw Warren Buffett said Trump is making the best financial decisions America's seen in 50 years, which liberals will never mention that.
yeah, and you know,
No, they'll never agree either. They're just gonna hate.
They're
all
just
the time.
gonna go blow up Tesla.
and you know, a lot of
Yeah.
people think, well, like how come the food prices and all these things aren't being fixed? He's been in power for the last 3 months. Well, it does take a little bit of time for these things to change, and I
Can
think
you explain to me? Because you told me that there's like an intentional crash in the market.
actually
for-
Michael can jump in.
Oh yeah. So the stock market has been crashing the past like month or so.
and it's intentional.
It's intentional. So in I think 5 or 4 months or something now, the $8 trillion of American debt. So we have like what, almost 20 trillion of debt. Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
yeah, yeah.
Like 17
Or more.
trillion. But 8 trillion
No idea.
of that debt in 5 months is going to get refinanced. So if you don't know what refinanced is, it means the loan is over. So now it's a new interest rate. But if the country looks like it's very valuable, the interest rate will be very high. So then U.S. will be paying more money over the next however long time, 10 years, 20 years, for example. But if the country goes down, you have to deflate the economy, deflate the stock market. That's why it's tanking a little bit. Then the country looks like it's less valuable. Then when you refinance, the interest rate isn't as high. So then in the long term, you're not paying as much money. That's what he's doing. So then when you refinance the debt, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But it also makes the long term, it's like almost like if I was to refinance debt I had personally, I'm not paying as much long term, then I have more cash. in
Oh,
my
liberals are 100% going to twist that for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
bet they already
are.
have.
They're a bit,
Yeah.
he's
He's
thought he
the
was
worst for
money
the
guy.
economy ever.
They've been
Yeah.
doing this for the last few weeks, like from Elon Musk. Because what you know,
Man,
what
they used to be like the most pro-electric car people ever.
Yes,
dude.
and
No,
they're going
I've
after
seen
him.
Sony memes about
Elon
that.
Musk is Republican now.
No, I literally
Yeah,
saw
well,
one.
he's also taking money that they've been spending wastefully and cutting them down.
Getting rid of it.
And
No,
so,
but
now
I
they
gotta
can't even
find
have
this.
that extra money that they used to have.
So now he's Hitler, right?
Yeah.
Explain this, Dad. Explain that. You gotta. I mean,
I love you guys.
No, wait.
Whoa, wait a second.
But I saw this hilarious picture. It was the Secretary
That's
of
exactly
State.
what he was doing.
No, I think it was the governor of Maine. The governor of Maine was like the most pro electric car person before. And then they put a picture of them with their brand new GMC, like huge SUV. And it was like, libs have
Gas
gotten so
guzzler.
crazy. Libs have gotten so crazy they went from the most pro electric people to now just the most gas guzzling cars ever. What is this world? It was so funny. I was dying. But
No, it's
slight-
true, bro. You go to every parking lot in California, it's just Teslas.
Yeah.
Bro, what the heck? Now they get one guy that's like, yeah, I'm going to the right because this is propaganda, and they're just like,
Let's just scratch up
We're
Teslas and
all-
blow them up.
let's scratch up Teslas and just make fun of him.
Yeah.
No, he's
Well,
definitely Hitler.
Elijah, bring us to our draft, our game for the day.
Okay, so the game today is funnest sports to watch on
watch.
TV. Yeah, funnest sports
Okay,
to
so
watch.
we get 3.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say all of them are in a playoff setting.
Okay,
All
so they're
of
all
them.
like prime.
They're
sports.
all in the playoffs. This is prime sports. They're all in the playoffs. We each get 2 picks because there's like 4 of us.
yeah.
Are you
okay.
saying like, can you be like, oh, college football, like
Sure.
NFL
Actually,
yeah.
football?
college is good.
Well, because college
good.
is different than NFL.
It's the
'Cause
same
all-
sport, but it's like a different.
Because you could
league.
also
Yeah.
be like, you could
Let's
be
just
like
go
NBA
leagues.
playoffs, and then you could also do
College
Madness.
March Madness, and
Yeah.
March Madness. Actually, some people would actually take
Okay, who
that
gets to
over.
start first?
Let's just go.
How about-
Gabriel.
how
Gabriel,
about new
because
guy?
he hasn't been here.
New guy. Okay, go.
I would say the most fun sport to watch, in my opinion. I mean, I gotta take the NFL playoffs, especially because
Aw, freaking
the
idiot.
Chiefs. It's like
NFL playoffs, I do
it's
think
the
are
most
elite.
fun to watch.
Well, because it's single
But it's-
elimination.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
single elimination, it's in the same vein as March Madness because if they lose, they're out. So they're really playing for everything. And actually, I think there's a lot to lose in NFL because, I mean, the games are so hard to win, I think, compared to other sports.
And especially because you have those small contracts,
Yeah.
especially because everyone like to get a
Oh,
good
or
team.
you could get
You have to
injured.
like draft really well,
And stay
then he's like
healthy.
you want him to stay on those rookie contracts, so you have a chance to win this year, or else you might get dropped.
Or get injured.
Yep.
It's so hard to stay healthy.
It's so.
Okay, I'll go
definitely
next.
that.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
March Madness for similar reasons. Single elimination. It's just so fun to watch. A literal 16 seed team could win the whole thing. Like it's so interesting.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
Like you can get a random Davidson.
Oh,
come
you're not
up.
doing all 3 of them?
No.
Just
Go.
doing one
No,
at a
you-
time?
No,
Otherwise
you
they'll get
can't
taken.
You can't
Oh.
take theirs.
So you're
Oh, I can't take theirs. So
No.
you did March Madness. Dang, I already
you
wrote
did
one.
NFL playoffs. So what's yours next one?
Well, okay, I'm not going to do any of those then, so I can't. Then I'm going to do the Soccer Olympics.
That's
Okay.
not
Is
bad.
that like the FIFA World Cup?
No,
World Cup is probably.
World Cup's probably better.
I'm talking about the World Cup. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
the World Cup.
Yeah, World
Yeah,
Cup's
that's what I
fire to
thought you
watch.
meant.
World Cup.
actually.
I
World
like
Cup is actually
I like
good.
watching the last 8 games.
Yeah, like last 8 teams.
The last 8 teams.
Yeah,
I really
that is
like
fire.
them.
Man,
I enjoy that
so
very much.
lame. You guys
Dude,
took
who are you
all the
gonna
best.
take? Just
Gabriel,
take water
that's
polo.
tough.
Just take water polo.
Let's actually be so real, okay? MLB sucks to watch this season because there's like a billion games.
A
Bro.
lot of aura in the playoffs.
But in the playoffs, I actually watch, okay?
of aura.
Because it actually can get hype. And the Royals did
But
good
especially
last
if the Royals are in there.
No, if the Royals are in there, I'm definitely watching. But I'm
Especially
only
if the
watching in the
Astros are
playoffs.
stealing signs.
And you get booty off it. Like you get.
I was mad this year.
I saw you.
Yeah.
Okay, you go next.
all
Okay,
hyped.
okay.
You
So
take MLB
I'm
players.
taking MLB playoffs.
Okay, go.
Well, no one said NBA. I'm
Dude, I was gonna take NBA.
NBA finals, like in the playoffs. It's
No, NBA 's
so
fire.
fun, especially when it was like when
True.
Curry was like there,
I
like the
thought
Warriors.
you guys already took that. That's ridiculous.
No,
bro.
that's
Like,
for sure.
this guy's draft is so much
I
better
already
than
took it
everybody
all.
else's, bro.
He goes, I already won.
NBA and NFL playoffs. Okay, next.
Okay, wait.
Next
What do I
segment.
got? What do I got? I have March Madness. What even other sports are? Oh, I'm gonna go the Masters.
Oh crap, dude! I was gonna take the
I'm gonna
Masters.
go the
I was like, don't even
Masters.
say it.
I think you're gonna. I think I'm gonna have to pass because I don't watch as much sports. I mean, I put college football. I put
Just go
NFL
water
playoffs.
polo Olympics.
Nobody put college football.
College basketball.
College
Oh, that's college
football. We
basketball.
didn't say college football.
No, I didn't put college football. I
College-
never watched
he's-
college football.
he
I'm
never
talking about
watched
college
college
basketball. I
football.
really enjoy. I've been watching it since high school. But so I don't have any
Okay,
more to
so
go.
he quits.
I quit.
I'm gonna say basketball Olympics.
Oh, basketball Olympics is hype.
Basketball Olympics is actually really fun. It's
Yeah,
like
actually,
it's
that's
only once
true.
every 4 years.
Yeah,
And then
that
you
is
get all
hype.
the best players. Like you're actually watching Curry and
Dad,
LeBron
you
play on the
should've
same
said
team. It's kind of
hockey
crazy.
Olympics. Hockey Olympics is actually fun.
I've
too.
never seen that before in my life.
What?
I only
Canada-
watched it. I only
the
watched
Canada-
it once in my entire life.
Yeah, and it was the Canada
Canada against
gold
US.
medal. Yeah, that's fun to
And,
watch.
and the U.S. lost.
The WNBA.
We'll start with that. WNBA. Caitlin Clark's
No,
the GOAT.
it will be the. I think watching like sprinting in Olympics would be my third.
No,
I think
actually, that's a good
Actually,
one.
that is
No,
hype.
that is
That
a
is
I
hype.
actually
That
love
is-
watching it. Right under the WNBA.
So bad.
Man, bro, I did not think of that, bro. I almost picked WNBA, bro. I need to watch those girls.
You gotta watch them, bro.
Dude, Caitlin Clark.
It's
Oh,
the
it's
move.
awesome.
Angel Reese, bro.
Oh, she's way better, bro.
Okay.
Did you see her layup montage? She's so elite.
I love watching the dunking contest with the girls. It's like just the
lower
most
it to
like
8 feet.
12-year-old black kid could do this dunk. It's like, yo, off two.
Two-handed jam.
And now the one.
Okay,
Man, we should have done 3, so I could have picked the WNBA, bro.
Okay, you're up, bro.
Okay. So the next segment is something I actually been seeing. I saw these like 2 posts on Instagram. Actually, it's so funny, and I thought that's actually really interesting for like our generation. So Gallup did a survey on alcohol and our generation, and so alcohol actually.
You mean Generation Z?
Generation Z says ages 13 through 28. The alcohol consumption has dropped almost 20% in this generation. And so it basically was 62% is what it was.
72, it says.
No, 72 is what it was. Now it's 62% of anyone under 35. Actually, many have actually become abstinent, meaning they never drink alcohol. Or they actually drink very low alcohol percentage, or actually the non-alcoholic brands are like skyrocketing. So alcohol pretty much is going like way
Man,
down.
maybe we should invest in a stock, bro.
Going against
Look,
or going with like zero alcohol things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. It actually is the lowest alcohol consumption rate of any point in history, any generation.
Wow.
And millennials are actually ages 55 and up. It's actually going up. The
They're
increase
higher.
of drinking alcohol.
Millennials aren't 55 and up. That's
so-
Gen Z. I mean, that's Gen X.
Okay, Gen X, but millennials as well. It's actually going up weirdly, and Gen Z is going down. And so I thought that stat was interesting. And then another stat, which is also Gallup did a survey, is this past year of 2023 to 2024, Bible sales have gone up 22%.
Wow.
So it was at 9.7 million to now 13.9
And it's the
million.
highest it's ever been in history.
Highest it's ever been in history. And actually, I thought, well, maybe it's like book sales. It's like books, people are maybe just buying more. But no, book sales have only increased like 1% this year. So pretty much Bible sales are the biggest thing.
That's high.
And people are also
No, that
becoming
is
more
high.
engaged with the Bible. They're reading it. And so I
I was
want
having a conversation with mom, and she was saying that even like traditional masculinity, traditional femininity, people
That's
are
like
going.
what's popular.
No, that's like what's popular because I noticed all the generations just don't like to do what the generation before
it
them
does.
did.
Yes.
And they saw this absolute dookie crap. That's just like your truth. I can be gay, lesbian, man, woman. I can be whatever I want. There's people going after not even just like Christianity, but there's actually a high number of people jumping into Catholicism,
Yeah.
jumping into
just want like structure.
Islam. They want something with tradition in their life, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is the best thing ever, bro. But also mom, I don't know the exact statistic, but mom's like super well versed on this stuff. Basically, if you go to a college campus, young kids now, the likeliness of them like having a conversation with them and them being open to the gospel is like insanely high compared to previous generations. I was like, oh, that's actually crazy. And even like people going after Catholicism, because I don't necessarily agree with Catholicism fully, I'm like, that's kind of sick. It's kind of sick. That's probably why all these Bible sales are going up, because people are jumping in Christianity, Catholicism, and all these things because they really just want tradition back. They want common sense back.
Do you think that these two are tied? So this is what I was trying to think. Like, why is it's all actually almost the same percent? Why is alcohol decreased 20% and Bible like increased 20%? Like, why is this trend in both of these stats happening this past year? And like, what does this mean? And are they connected?
I so think it's because the last 4 years politically. I 100% think that. I think because the last maybe 12 years, like Joe Biden has been like absolutely the worst. That's why you even look at the percentages of voters in the 18 to like 30 bracket was leaning right like crazy compared to the last six elections.
It was net positive.
Yeah, it was. And there obviously, I think, is more Democrats that are younger than Republicans still.
Just 'cause
But
college.
compared to the last freaking 6 elections, it's been absolutely sick to watch.
Yeah, just recently I was in Barnes and Noble and I was looking for books, and I was walking by and I heard this part I didn't hear. Christelle, we were with a few people, and Christelle was walking by the Bible section in Barnes and Noble, and they don't always have. For the most part, I wouldn't buy a Bible at Barnes and Noble. But
Slim Pickens or what?
well, they're just not that great. But anyway, so while she was walking there and looking at different things, there was a guy who was asking the guy who worked there at Barnes and Noble, "Hey, what's the best Bible to purchase?" And the guy kind of didn't know how to answer. I kind of don't know. And so the guy says, "Well, do you know the difference between this version and this version? I've never bought a Bible before, and I'm really interested." And so Christelle came running over to me and said, "Hey, this is what I just heard. Maybe you should go and talk to him." So I went right over there, and I saw him.
Oh, that's sick.
I saw him, and I tried to make conversation without knowing that that I already
was eavesdropping.
that I was Christelle was eavesdropping, and but I do believe, going back to what I do believe these 2 points are tied together, and I believe it's more than politics, even though I think it plays a part in it.
Yeah.
I think it's a movement that God is doing. I think it's God breathed, of people wanting the real thing, and also they're health conscious. They're learning about things. So I bet you it's even more healthy in other areas. Like I guarantee you, like when I was growing up, I would go to a restaurant and people still were smoking in Minneapolis. They were still smoking in restaurants or bars or in clubs. And you go there now, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
I guarantee you smoking has decreased. Alcohol has decreased. Way more.
Well, honestly, I feel like even just vaping in general has increased.
Yes.
So I'd say maybe they're not doing alcohol.
Maybe they have alternatives.
Maybe that's true. But when it comes to God, here's what I have seen in the last year. I've seen guys like Joe Rogan had interviews with Bible scholars to talk about,
Yeah, that's crazy.
is the Bible real?
Yeah. Or
Like-
even Logan Paul with Cliff Nickel.
Right.
That was crazy.
So they're having conversations that the public is listening to about God. And also you have Jordan Peterson talking about God. Pretty much his books and courses that a lot of young guys are listening to. He's got the ear of a lot
It's
of
the
young
Andrew
guys.
Tate audience.
Andrew Tate audience.
Yeah,
Same audience.
same
yes.
audience.
But they're listening to, like, we wrestle with God and the book of Genesis and Exodus. Like, what? And also like Tucker Carlson having encounters with God and the demonic. Now he's reading the Bible. This is the most famous news anchor in the
North
world.
America, yeah.
And then you also have Russell Brand, who
Famous actor.
famous actor who's like getting baptized and
Yeah.
talking about God.
Yeah.
And yes, there's Catholicism in there, but they have an authentic desire to know God or to know more about God if he's real. So I think that's only a representation or reflection of what society is actually going through, and the Bibles are actually a big part to it. So
Yeah.
people are hungry. Is God real? I was told that it wasn't, or I saw hypocrisy in my parents in the past. But I think he's real,
Yeah.
and they want real answers.
I actually think off that, I think with parents, I think what Elijah was saying with parents is actually why this is happening a lot, because I think because the previous generations were like drinking alcohol so much and maybe didn't read the Bible as much. I think most generations usually go against what the cultural norms are. You see that with like the rise of like rock and roll, with tattoos, with drinking alcohol. And
Yeah,
so
the
because it
hippies.
goes against what the norm is, that's where usually young people go towards what
that's
the norms aren't. And so I think that actually is why the young generation is going this way, and it's increasing in popularity. Because I think we're seeking the truth and actually seeking to be more health conscious. I still think like not every young person is probably healthy.
Yeah.
I think many people smoke weed, all that. But
Yeah.
I think they're on a trajectory to be like, what is healthy? What are the right choices to make?
Yeah.
And actually, what are the things my parents did that I don't agree with? And actually going against that, which actually is more traditional.
So it's almost a rebellion against their lifestyle.
It's against their lifestyle,
Yeah.
I think, and actually going into what is the truth? What is the truth of the Bible? And I think there are certain influencers that are becoming increasingly popular, like Cliff Knightley and like Bryce Crawford and George Janko. These people who are promoting Christianity, and so then it's becoming popular on like the whole scope of the internet because it's actually what people are like into because it's like this is what my parents weren't. And so I think
Yeah.
there's a point of that, and then it's just increasing in popularity, and everyone's like really on this.
Like
stuff.
even in like even when social media was first, like TikTok was first, I never saw anything with Christianity blow up.
Oh,
it's-
nothing.
You didn't
It's
see
just
Christianity
dancing.
blow up.
It's just dancing.
Even music, like Christian music, it's blows up right now.
Well, think of Forrest Frank. The dude started
But it's
music
blowing up.
literally,
Like you actually
8
look at
months
his
ago.
streams. I'm like, this is actually kind of a famous guy. Actually,
Yeah.
it's kind of ridiculous. But there's definitely a point that you were making where I was sitting in my car maybe like 2 weeks ago, being like, man, this generation's kind of awesome. We just won the popular vote in Donald Trump. People are going after traditional things again. People are going after common sense again. But I was listening to a prayer tape where the guy was basically praying, and he was basically talking about hunger, and how hunger is the revelation of your need, basically. But then he started praying over our generation Gen Z, and then he just started going. He goes, I pray that our generation.
a little Corey Russell.
Yeah, it was Corey Russell, and he was going, this generation is going to get the God cry back. Basically, and then he was relating that to hunger, and now it's the revelation. I need God. I want God. He goes, then he started going crazy, and I was like, man, I actually think this is really true, where people are going after and realizing that they need God because they've seen the generations before them have a lack of God and what that actually looks like, and how they're actually gonna rebel in a way.
Well, and I even
against,
feel like you see this with the Israelites.
yeah,
Like you see the
Okay.
kind of the waves with the Israelites. If you go through like Judges and First and Second Kings, like you'll see there was always the group that fell in love with Jesus, and then 40, 50 years later,
They're
they're
cooked.
doing idols and
Yeah,
worshiping
yeah.
idols. And then it's like they got smacked, and then it's like, oh, now our love of Jesus again. And then 40, 50 years later, it's like idols again.
yeah.
So you kind of see the waves of that just in
No, they
culture.
realize the failure, and then they realize I need God.
Yeah.
I actually do. I need God. It's almost like you have to bring them to a low point for them to be like, I need him, actually.
This is where I was actually getting. I think that's why identity is such a big issue, and anxiety. And I think they're seeing the stems of alcohol and actually the lows of what it is. So seeking truth in the Bible is because of their identity crisis and the low it is. Corey Russell in that is talking about like Mark 10 and the blind Bartimaeus, and
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
being like, don't let like Jesus pass me by. And then he cries out. And then Bartimaeus is basically like being shut up. Everyone's like, be quiet. And it says he cries out all the more. So Corey Russell's relating this to like, hey, even though like the society will tell you to like be quiet or shut up when you're trying to cry out, you cry out all the more, your hunger actually will be seen. Jesus responds to hunger more than anything else is your hunger. It's actually being poor in spirit, like being desperate, because you cannot be hungry unless you are hungry. Like you can't be hungry if you're full. So you
Yeah.
have to actually be hungry knowing you're desperate. And so I think people in this generation are realizing I actually have an issue with anxiety. I actually have an issue with this, and they're desperate for something. I think that's truth.
Yeah, they
yeah.
are.
No,
they
they
want to encounter truth. They want to know truth, and really, truth is God. And so as they continue to seek Him, like I love what's going on, and I think it's only going to increase. I think it's going to multiply. And I even liked what happened a couple years ago, and I think that was just the beginning in
happened?
Asbury College.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was just like the beginning spark. And look, no one promoted it, no one advertised for it. It was
They didn't even let like photo in the room.
right, or older people.
Yeah.
It was a Generation Z movement.
Yeah.
How they describe it.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why
it's
they
only
did it.
going to increase, guys. I think I'm excited, and I think we don't even know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, every move of God looked different than the last one, and we can't try to imitate what happened in the. There's principles that are going to be the same, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to look different, and it's already looking different. Yeah. So just based on kind of piggyback off what we were just talking about when it came to, you know, Gen Z, and really focusing on honor and how. Because I believe that what God is going to be doing is moving those individuals into leadership roles. And so I want to talk about leadership, but I also want to talk about honor. So how does honor prep you to be a real leader? So in this segment, I want to talk about honor, and there's different parts of honor, and we all vary in our scope of honor when it comes to like there's honor that will look different in our dating relationship, our marriage relationships, people who we work for, or just leaders that we know, or how do we honor when it comes to father-in-laws, mother-in-laws? How do we honor people who we don't agree with? You know, the first commandment with a promise that Bible says is to honor our father and mother, and there's a promise with it. We'll get long life, and so
Your life will go well with you.
yeah, your life
You'll
will
have
go
a
well
good
with you.
life.
Yeah. So why don't we break this down? So the first question so I have a list of questions that would love for us to just engage in. Okay. So when you hear the word honor, and you can be open and honest. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be open and honest about things that I've seen great as far as honor is concerned. So, and I want you guys to do that as well, without naming any names of people who dishonored. So let's not go into that. So when you think about the word honor, how do you feel about it? And maybe you could define it in your own words.
I would
Anyone can
say maybe like respecting someone, even when it calls to be like humble, even if they're not treating you in a proper way. Like I think of like the life of David. Like he was under Saul, a demon-possessed king, but he still honored King Saul, and he still served him, and he still was humble, and he still
Like that'd be so difficult for me, bro. Like this
Like-
guy's trying to kill me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna
like
still
the
honor
guy
this
just
guy.
threw a
That's crazy.
spear at me, bro.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
I actually think
crazy.
it's respect, but out of love. So like even when like you can honestly like show honor even when you're not present. Like let's say you're trying to honor your parents. You honor your parents by living maybe a certain way or living a certain lifestyle. So you respect your parents, but out of love for your parents, you act in accordance with what you believe the lifestyles or the choices you do because of like love. And out of love, you show them by how you honor them and how you treat them. Not just like I respect you, so I'm gonna listen to you, but I actually love you, so I'm gonna honor you.
Yeah. So then how far is too far? Did you answer?
No, I'm still thinking. Kinda.
Okay. So how will you think about it? How far is too far when it comes to honor? I remember this quick story. I'll kind of do it real fast. There was a guy I knew, and I was his leader, and he's from Sweden. And in Sweden, they really have I thought, a dishonor culture. And what I mean by that is in school, they didn't go like Mr. Baldovinos. They didn't go Mr. Anthony.
Was it like first name?
They just that's the teacher, and they would say Mark. They would say, Elijah instead of Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
And so, but also they did not ask them for marriage. So when
Oh, like the parents.
you didn't go to the parents and say, hey, can I marry your daughter? That was not a thing. You just told them
When the wedding is.
when the wedding is, and this is the date. Also, not only did they not do that, they also would not take their last name. Okay?
Wow.
The
You didn't-
girls.
the girls wouldn't take their last name, and the son and the daughter could come up with brand new last names.
Wow.
Okay? So I'm like,
Good.
what? This is crazy. This is so weird. The whole thing was weird to me. So there I am kind of mentoring him, and he's like, I like this girl. What should I do next? I said, well, I think you should. And they've been dating for a while, and they were dating, so they didn't go and ask the parents, which I would have suggested. Go talk to the dad and see if he's got to give you a blessing to even date his daughter. So they were already past that. So now they're dating, and now he wants to ask the dad, can I marry her? And he went to the dad, and he said, can I marry your daughter? He goes, no. No, you can't. And he lived in a different, kind of a good distance away. So he calls me up. He goes, what do I do? He said, no. I go, well, you honor. Did you ask him why? He goes, well, he said, I think something to the effect like, I don't even know you. Why? How could I give you the hand of my daughter in marriage to you? So I go, well, maybe you should move to his city. That makes perfect sense to me. And win them over. Because you have to win them over as you win the daughter over. And he was so mad. He was so mad. Like, what? How long is that going to take? Like maybe 3 months? 3 months, I'll do it for 3 months. But why would I move to another city that's not mine and spend all this money? I'm like, well, do you love her? Is she worth it? You want to give your life to her? This is where it begins. Laying down your life even here. And so how far is too far? Like, so I want us to really think about it. Let me define honor, and then I want to ask you guys more questions. So honor is the intentional choice to value, esteem, and treat someone with dignity, not because of their behavior, but because of who you are or who they are. And so to start, and let's just jump into this. Can you think of a time that you felt really honored, and what did it look like? Okay, well, there was a time for me. So I was really young, into leadership. Me and Christelle were probably 23, 24 years old. And we got invited for dinner with this business couple, with some very, very well-known Christian leaders for dinner. And I was so excited to meet and have dinner with the Christian leaders. And so the business people, now the Christian leader really wanted to spend time with this business couple. And we were just kind of add-ons to the dinner. So we went for dinner, and the Christian couple just kept setting us up. Like, oh, this is Antonio and this is Christelle. We love them. They are da-da-da, and would speak so highly about us. And then really introduced us and gave us a good platform, so we felt special in the room. And then the business leader and this Christian leader, they kept talking. And the Christian leader really didn't care much about us, but the business couple did. And he just kept bringing us back to the table. Hey, Christelle, what do you think? Hey, Antonio, what do you think about this conversation? What do you think about this point? And after a while, after I saw this so many times, number one, I felt honored. I felt special. I felt seen. I was a nobody. I had no experience, no life experience, no ministry experience, really. And he just honored me so well. When I came out of that room, I thought of them so much higher. That couple, I thought of them so much higher than the ministry couple who were the famous people, just because of the way they honored me. And from that point on, I'm like, man, I just respect them so much. I almost looked at them as father figure and mother figures into my life because of honor. And I think that's what honor does. It opens up a person's heart for safety and trust and the value and the being seen. And it was one of the most pivotal moments or significant moments, if you will, in my life. And then I wanted to repeat that over and over again in other people's lives, for them to feel the same way. So for me, that was a specific moment.
I actually think I have one. I think when I was young growing up, actually, me and Elijah were just talking about this. Whenever our uncle would come into town, he would always just go out of his way to always play baseball with us or basketball or whatever. And just
And how old are you guys?
Maybe 8, 9 to
Yeah.
And how
8
old
to
is he?
12.
How old is
he was
he?
like
every
20.
year, he would come every year. So it was probably since we're 12 to 14. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he would just come and he would just, every moment he had free, he would just go and play catch with us and talk.
Even if it was snowing out.
Yeah,
it
no
was
matter
wild.
what, and just do it and hang out with us all the time, play basketball. And I was thinking about how
Did
much
the Bible as well.
Yeah, he would wake up early. He would even buy me little pencil crayon things to write highlight the Bible in certain ways and teach us how he studied the Bible. And he woke up really early. And I was just thinking, even as a grown dude, when I am hanging out with a little kid, sometimes it's hard because I don't really want to do this. I don't really feel like it. They don't really even can remember it. But I really remember it, and I really felt man, this guy cares about me, and he's who I looked at as this is so cool. This is so fun. And so also it helps me know how I want others to look at me, younger ones, my little brother, and play catch with them and hang out with them, even when I don't necessarily feel like it, because they actually do remember, and they actually, I felt really honored by how this man, just, who doesn't need to, he's way older. He has already a lot of responsibility and time, but he wants to, just hang out.
No, because I remember, I think about that time where he would just, play catch with me in the snow and stuff, and he would, because I was obsessed with baseball, he'd just do, random, he would just make up plays, then I'd be thinking about it, doing on defense, stuff like that, and I'd be I every time I think of something I don't want to do, and I'm like, man, when I was a kid, I imagine, oh, dude, this is probably so fun for him. We're playing baseball. I mean, we're just playing baseball. It's
The dude's
chill.
20.
But he's like, but I actually realized
You
it's
thought
like,
it was just as fun
For
as-
him.
but I
for
wasn't.
him
I
as it
wasn't
was-
thinking like he's serving until I got older, and I was like, oh, that actually sounds like it's not that fun for him to do. But he did it. But he did it with me, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So every time I like don't want to do something and it is revolving serving, that's actually probably the first thing that comes to my mind is that memory, basically, because I'll sit there and be like, man, he did that hanging out with me. And a lot of people wouldn't go out in the snow with some random kid that wanted to play baseball that probably wouldn't even remember playing, but I only remember because he did it. And I really think back to that, and it does make I actually think that is a very good example of how I did feel honored. That is, I'm actually glad you remembered that. But another one for me that where I felt honored was, I remember at my graduation, I used to hang out with this guy Daniel all the time, and his dad was the university leader basically. So I did my graduation speech, and Daniel went to my school, so his dad's obviously there, and he gave me a scholarship to go to the school that I was already planning to go to in the fall.
And you're going to pay.
And I was gonna pay, and I was gonna do it all, and I was gonna go, but he gave me a free scholarship to go, and he gave Gabriel a scholarship to go. And then I had a conversation with him. I was like, "Hey, why did you give that to me?" He goes, "Cause I saw that you were hungry." Cause I had a conversation with him probably 2 weeks before. I had a conversation with Daniel, asking a lot of questions about the Bible. And he goes, "So I decided I wanted to. I felt from the Lord to give you a scholarship, and I wanted to invest in your ministry life, basically." And I was like, I felt honored in that moment that I was like, wow, this guy, I barely know him. I only know his son, and he's giving me a scholarship to the school I was already planning to go to. So that was probably a moment I felt honored, I would say.
I don't know. It takes me a while to think about those things.
Okay. Then I'll jump in for another one. What about this one, okay? And let's just pretend for a second that someone's asking you a one-on-one question, okay? When it comes to like your job, okay? And they're being mistreated. They're being treated unfairly. For example, let's just say they're making fun of that guy, ripping on him verbally. Or let's just say they're making him do things that everyone else is not doing, doesn't have to do. But they gotta kind of
Like he's trying to like the mutt of the litter.
yeah.
Okay.
And so he's doing these extra jobs that he doesn't have to do compared to everybody else. He's kind of being treated
Like
unfairly.
the water boy or something.
Yeah, or just extra stuff that
Okay.
he, part of his job. And so they're coming to you and saying, "Look at what's going on in my life." What would you say to them? How should they respond to that leader, to that boss? What would you say?
I'd probably point him to the life of David again. Like David was kind of like the rut of the litter. He got treated like crap his whole life. He would go watch the sheep while his brothers would go to war and fight and all this stuff. And that's who I would probably point it to, the life of David. Just have them read through the life of David, see how he responded to a family that treated him like crap, how he responded even in honor and still obedience to his father, even though he didn't want to do it. And he's literally out there fighting lions and bears. Like, that's trash.
Yeah.
And instead of fighting in wars and getting glory, your brothers don't even believe you that you fought a lion and a bear. So I'd probably point him to the life of David.
Yeah, I think even one way that I think that would, because a lot of people don't see honor as like a response to, as like something they experienced. Like, I felt honored here, but I think I also want to point out a way that we could honor other people. Because I remember one time I had a bunch of friends I had a bunch of people, I don't want to say friends, they were talking really bad about me. Then I heard one of them stood up for me, be like, no, that's not true, and he did that, and I felt really honored when he did that. So I would say one way I think I want to be able to honor people in the future is probably talking really highly about other people, or even if I do have a negative opinion about someone, not say it at all. I think that's a way that I want to honor people better in the future. But I remember feeling super honored because I felt like that talk was super undeserved for me, and then he stood up for me and said this is actually what's true. I think I've really liked that. So.
Yeah.
I mean, you could point back to, I think, the Sermon on the Mount pretty easily of, like, if someone's being mistreated, how do you handle someone who's essentially, like, your enemy? How do you talk to them? How do you respond? So, I mean, it's backwards, it seems like, to, like, turn the other cheek. It's backwards to, but I think in that, there's a submitting to God. I think we just had a time in me and Kennedy's Life on Outreach where there was a really hard season and people really did talk bad and felt like it was undeserved. And so we actually read in Hebrews, and in Hebrews it talks about actually the Lord will get our justice. The Lord will avenge us. And actually not to withhold grace from somebody. So that was one thing I was struggling with, because I was like, there needs to be some sort of justice done. There needs to be some sort of punishment or disciplinary action. I do believe in discipline. God disciplines those he loves, but it's not always for me to give. It's actually not in my hands. And so I can only respond in love. And actually I think you should confront. And I would actually point it to be like talked about and not assume what they'll say is like, you just have to like actually be able to like stand up for yourself. But at the same time, not try to get justice for yourself, because God, the one who will give it.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you said David, it's actually what I've been thinking about, the life of David. We've been watching the story of David,
The show.
the show.
Next episode came out today. That's hype.
Yeah, and I've been studying it, restudying it again, anyways. But one of the things that he did in his life was there was a moment where he was actually in a mountain, in a cave, running for his life. King Saul, who's the head of the military, he's got 3,000 soldiers going to kill him. And this one moment, he sees Saul go into the cave, and he's taking a nap, King Saul. And he goes over to him in his sleep, crawls in there, and grabs his knife, and he cuts a corner of his robe, takes the robe, goes across the cave, and he calls out to King Saul.
Father.
And he says, Father. So right away, he's doing doing it with honor, just with that term. Father, why are you going after me? Why are you trying to kill me? And so Saul responds, because you want to kill me. And he kind of defends himself. And David says, no, not true. If I wanted to kill you, I would have. And he puts, the piece of robe that he just had cut off, and he shows it to him. Look, here's, I didn't want to kill you. I was over there while you were sleeping, and I did not kill you. So stop doing that, in other words. And Saul, responds with an apology that didn't last long.
Yeah.
But that's how he responds when he was being treated unfairly. So here's the question. Should you honor despite of someone's behavior? So, for example, honor your father and mother. Does it come with a prerequisite of
If they're good parents.
if they're good parents, if they're godly parents,
Yeah.
or leaders because they're good people, because they treat you good? So, what would you respond? Do you need to honor still?
Yeah.
That's what the Bible says.
And First Peter talks about. First Peter actually does talk about this a lot, because it actually is talking to a people group who's like super like in slavery, and so he's still talking about honoring their slave masters and actually treating them well and listening to them and serving them, which is kind of wild, but
Which would be so tough for in real life.
impossible almost, I bet. But he also said, unless it causes you to sin. So I think that's the boundary as well. So I think there's honor, but if it causes you to step outside of the boundaries of the Bible, then I'd say don't follow that, but honor unconditionally those who are in leadership position, even if you don't agree with the leadership position, even if you don't agree with the leadership, because that, for whatever reason, God has given you that leadership at that season of your life. Whether you like them or don't, you actually have to honor them and actually talk good about them, which is sometimes almost impossible, because why is this guy, why should I serve him well or honor him well? Because he's not treating me good. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'll just end with this. One of the things that has helped me when I've been under a leader that has not deserved honor would be this. I begin to pray for them. When I take it to the Lord, not just kind of do a surface, change their lives, change their hearts, or change the way they're acting. No, in fact, when I start just getting God's heart about them, it begins to change my perspective to them. So even if they mistreat me, my heart begins to soften, because one thing we don't want is our hearts to be hard. We want our hearts to be soft, even despite their injustice, even despite their words that could be betraying and hurting and offending me. So I would suggest the first thing you want to do is pray. And then the next thing you want to do is continue to honor them, even in secret. Because a lot of times we might, have a surface image to honor, but then behind the scenes, I'm actually talking bad about them. Well, that's kind of just hypocritical, and it's not going to help your heart. It's not going to help this relationship, to be honest. So pray and then keep your mouth shut so that you don't dishonor them even in secret. So that'd be my two thoughts going away from this conversation.
But yeah, I think that's all we got for today. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Feel free to subscribe, share this with another guy that would enjoy any of these topics we talked about today. Put your draft down in the comments of your favorite sport to watch. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day.
Boom.
Welcome back to the Bottom Line Podcast. Today we'll be talking about Trump's tariff plan and how it has affected the U.S. economy, as well as talking about Gen Z and how it actually is the least generation to consume alcohol, why Bible sales are skyrocketing. And we'll be talking about honor and a lot more in today's episode.